The parks themselves don't bring money directly to the island. How do the parks impact the economy development of the island as a whole?
Well, I think if it wasn't for the parks and how we promote the island based on the parks and their beauty, like if you look at postcards, ferry brochures, the Peninsula Pulse, there's been tons of articles, like even the New York Times, the Milwaukee Sentinel Journal has promoted like specifically Schoolhouse Beach. Schoolhouse Beach, Schoolhouse Beach, Schoolhouse Beach. Best, top, one of the top 3 in the state or top 10 in the country, So I think thousands and thousands of people come here based on the parks. And if you think about what do people do when they come here, what would they have to do if they didn't go to the parks? And so, yeah, I mean, maybe they'd go to the lavender shop, but and when I talk about the parks, I'm talking about like the museums too, the Art and Nature Center, Maritime, Jacobson Museum. That's how people spend their day. So,
What have we done to improve the parks, such as Schoolhouse Beach or Mountain Tower?
well, Mountain Tower, they just rebuilt it, so that was a pretty ambitious project, and I'm not sure, they were doing it in stages, and I'm not sure if they got it completely all done. You'd have to ask like somebody on the town board about that, or maybe you already did. Then we had this tornado, which just created terrible devastation up there, and I haven't even seen it, but people say it's like a disaster area, and it's going to take, I think they are estimating maybe even several years to clean it up. But we did purchase the land when it became available, and I'm really grateful about that. We've had other opportunities in the past to add on to our parks, and we didn't seize those opportunities, which was, I think, really short-sighted. I don't think people realized, even myself, and I've been pretty involved in the parks since I moved back here in 1990. As an adult, I became pretty involved in just thinking about the parks and watching the increased traffic and the erosion and the impact that's having. And but even I couldn't foresee what's happening. In fact, when my brother-in-law came, like in, let's say, I don't know what year that was, maybe 2000, and he had traveled all over the world. And he said, you islanders better start thinking about how you're going to protect this place, because it's going to be like, about these tourist destinations, and I thought, well, I don't think it's going to get that bad, but I think it is that bad now. And I think that, I know there are many island people, including myself, that don't go to the public parks anymore because, well, for a lot of different reasons, and I don't have to. I mean, Mel got a broken tooth, at Schoolhouse Beach, and when I was there with my young kids, we went every day to the beach, as I did when I was a kid. We couldn't afford to take vacations like the people that were coming here. But Schoolhouse Beach was our beach, it was our vacation, and we went there every day. And as years went on, it just got more and more stressful and frustrating, because I always had to be watching for rocks. I mean, I've been hit by rocks. I had to be chasing after people taking rocks. I had to be making sure kids weren't getting, well, not just kids, but adults run over by kayaks. I mean, it was just, so I don't enjoy going there anymore.
Yeah. How have the parks increased the number of tourists visiting the island?
Except for people that, well, if there were no parks, I don't know who would come here. Why would you come here? If it was all private land, which is becoming more and more the case too, which is concerning, why would people come here? Maybe to go to the lavender shop, but I don't know, or maybe for a wedding or a family reunion. Things like that would bring people here, you know, if your grandma has a house here, you know, families would come, or probably to dance in the fest. A lot of people, you know, enjoy doing that, but
How has Schoolhouse Beach changed over the years of you living on the island?
well, I'll tell you a story about my mom. My mom grew up. Do you know where Steve and Margie O'Connor live? They live right next to. I think it's Blue. Anyway, she lived. It wasn't that house. It was that location. It was a little tiny brown shack, basically. And they swam in Schoolhouse Beach every day, and that's before it became a public park. It's before the town bought it. It was privately owned, and from the cemetery, it was just all solid cedar trees. There was no roads. There was nothing. It was just like you walked down a low path. Well, then the town bought it in 1950, and they made a road to get there for the public, and there was camping there. And then island people got frustrated with the camping there, because when they would go for a picnic, or, you know, it was full of campers. And so the campground was built, and the islanders felt like they had more access to the park. Anyway, long story short, going forward now, I think they've tried, different parks committees have tried to figure out what to do about Schoolhouse Beach. And the parking is a huge issue, and there are a lot of people that don't believe we should allow parking in the cedar trees because of how that erodes the you know, the dirt and the ground and harms the roots. In fact, there was a comprehensive plan, a park plan that was developed by environmentalists, and their recommendation was to get the parking off the trees. But people don't like to walk, you know, and tourists want to be able to get there, and, you know, it's an elderly, aging population, and anyway, I don't foresee that happening in my lifetime probably, but yeah, it's a teeny little postage stamp size park, and thousands of people. I don't know, how many would you say? 3,000 a day? I mean, I was at a funeral one time last summer, and in the summer, it was a memorial service, and it was just, you couldn't even really hear the service. It was just constant traffic coming to the beach, leaving the beach, coming. And, you know, there's been days, I don't know, people tell me this, I don't go there anymore, but where they're parked all the way up to Jackson Harbor Road on either side because there's no place to park. That's a lot of traffic. And going back historically, we've had the opportunity when it became, you know, on the market, where Elmore's live now, or where Duncan Alexander lives on either side of Schoolhouse Beach, to purchase it, but we didn't. And so once those properties are gone, they're gone forever. And people say, well, you know, there's other property, which is true, maybe inland, but people don't come to Washington Island. I mean, do you go to an island to be inland? I mean, maybe a little bit, but people want to be on the water, and people want to swim. So.
How has the growth of tourism impacted the parks?
Well, a lot has been taken from the parks with very, very little given back. Financially, the town has always been in financial crunches, and there's been efforts to establish a park pass to get more revenue to try and put back into the parks, but it's been contentious and thwarted, and now there's another group attempting to come up with a plan. So we'll see.
Can you tell me some more history about sand dunes or Schoolhouse Beach?
Well, I have this picture here. In 98, we called ourselves, I'll pass this around, the Friends of Schoolhouse Beach. We went to the town board and we asked for help generating awareness why people shouldn't take the rocks. And there's always been this a threat of a fine, but there was never any teeth to it, and nobody's ever, that I know of, ever in my lifetime gotten a fine for taking a rock. Although I have heard people say, don't take the rocks, you know, there's a fine for that. So I guess maybe it deters some people. But anyway, we got the Friends of Schoolhouse Beach going to try to raise awareness, and one of the things we did is we marched in the fair, and we made signs, and I think that did start a better awareness. But are the rocks still being taken? Yes, absolutely they are. Let's see. We did I don't know if you've ever read the kiosk that's down there at the beach. That's old. It should have been redone and whatever a while back. But anyway, we got a friend of mine who was born and raised here to donate the artwork for that, to try and again educate people about the fact that, you know, these rocks don't just get made in a year. You know, if you take it, it's going to take many, many hundreds of years to replenish the rocks. So anyway, you can imagine some people thought that was foolish and, you know, like we were exaggerating the problem and should just relax. You know. So, but anyway, I would appreciate any help you can give in this effort to try and educate people why you need to leave our home here. Don't take it away. The Red Barn was purchased by a group. It was purchased by the people. It wasn't through the town government. It was a group of people that believed we needed a community center. The community center wasn't there, and we needed a bigger space to have like town board meetings or like performances and recreation for youth. And so in 1946 they agreed to purchase the property, but it took many, many, many years to pay off that debt, and I can't remember exactly how much it cost, but anyway, they did all kinds of fundraisers, like, you know, if somebody had excess apples, like when they grew apples and cherries here, maybe they would sell some apples. Well, one of the things we did was we danced in the fest 2 times a week. There was a fest for the tourists, and so I've been doing stuff, at the Red Barn for a long time. Getting back to your question, I forgot the question. And we've done plays there, and like you say, concerts, and they do so many cool things. They have you've probably been there, right, George? The Actors Workshop, and they have the music camps and out there, and the music festival does music lectures there, and so a lot of different people. There's been weddings there. A couple of my friends have been married there, so long time.
How have natural disasters impacted the parks?
Natural disasters? Well, I guess, let's see, Mountain Park is the only thing I can really think of that had what I would call a natural disaster. I can't think of anything else.
Okay. Keeping the parks looking presentable must be a challenge. What steps does the island take to achieve this?
Well, every day they have to go pick up the garbage and clean the bathrooms. That's done every day. And as you can imagine, it's probably not a very fun job. Mowing. The raft. How many of you know where the raft came from? Well, the raft that we have right now. It's a replica of an original raft. Well, the original raft, you should ask Kirby Foss this whole story, but anyway, it just like floated here or something anyway, and it lasted a long time. And it was, the raft is just a blast, Schoolhouse Beach raft. And it got old and they just didn't feel like it was safe anymore. So they bought this really bad raft that was like a death trap. It would flip over and actually Lily, my daughter, and Josie, my niece, got this petition going, like we need to replace the raft and get that dangerous one out of there, which they did. They pulled it out because it really was dangerous. But then how to get a good raft like our original raft. So Kirby Foss found some place, I don't know, down the county that would just remake our exact raft. And I can't remember exactly how much it costs now. And the community center committee was going to purchase this, but then the Mann family, Jill and Orion, and all the Mann family together, Keith and Jerry and Marlene. I'm not sure who all was involved in that decision, but decided they wanted to purchase that. And if you see anybody that throws rocks at the raft, please ask them to knock it off. Because I know from Jonathan and Jeffrey Mann that it is a big job every spring to get that raft ready to put back in. They have to sand and paint, and so we want to keep it nice and, in good shape.
Has technology impacted the parks in any way?
Well, I don't know, geocaching, I guess people do that. I've never done it, but I think that's in the parks. Do they do that in the parks?
And Mountain Tower has a geocache.
Yeah, does that use technology? I don't know.
I mean, online for sure.
Yeah, I think online, people getting directions how to get places, and if they ever get a park pass system going, the one that we developed when I was on the park committee would have used technology and it would have been helpful, but that didn't happen. So we'll see what happens next. Maybe in the future the museums may end up using technology for displays. I mean, who knows? But not that I know of right now.
If we made another park, do you think it would bring more tourists? Do you also have any ideas what a possible park could be?
That's a loaded question. There was, we led an effort of a few of us to purchase the Nordheim property for the purpose of a park. And we got really close. And a friend of mine, Karen Yancey, you might know her, she wrote the grants. And actually we got a $240,000 grant from the state of Wisconsin, and we were down to one of two applicants to receive $1 million grant from the federal government. We didn't win that, but the man told us like we could reapply the next year. And anyway, it just, for all different reasons, it didn't happen. I'm still hoping, because it's private property, so maybe you've never seen it, but I mean, it would have the potential to have an awesome water park, because of when they made a marina there, they had to blast. It's all rock. They had to blast it out, and it'd just be an awesome. There's all different options there. I think if we're going to have another park, it needs to be on the water, and there's not a lot of frontage. It's the only thing I can really think of that's even available.
The parks bring lots of tourists to the island. Do you see any negative impact? If so, what?
Well, I think we're at a max and maybe oversaturated. personally. I think there's different kinds of tourism. Personally, I like the bicycle riders and the kayakers, and I like the quiet, less intrusive kinds of tourists. I don't like, really, you can edit all this out. I don't like huge groups of people. Like the barbecue, I'm not for large amounts of people coming here. I think one of the things that I love so much about growing up here and raising my kids here is it was safe. And I think the larger masses of people you bring here, the greater potential you have for losing that. And so, does that answer the question?
That was my last question.
Good.